Look, we're here. We're live today, not to talk about college football. We're not here to talk about the NBA, nothing of that sort. We're here to talk about the NFL playoffs, and it's a lot of people I want to say I told you so. But formally, introducing myself, this is the Six Man with Kam. I am your host, Kam Urshery. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram at the Six Man with Kam. You can find me on Twitter at Kam Urshery. But as everybody's coming in, people are coming in. Last week we talked about the college football playoffs and how Georgia beat Alabama. Then we discussed some of the NFL playoffs with Soraya Ponder, who we had on last week as kind of like a surprise last second guest who works for NFL Films. And we talked about the playoffs. And as the rounds proceed and the rounds go on, I sat here and made my predictions on the show, last week. And I basically said that I had Green Bay and Tennessee in the Super Bowl. And I still stand by that. I know we have the Kansas City Chiefs that's still out there, doing their thing where they won and blew out the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got the Rams who just destroyed the Arizona Cardinals, which I tried to tell people experience, it beats the youth. No matter how good the youth is, experience beats the youth. I've seen Lamar Jackson win the MVP and go out in the first round. I've seen Deshaun Watson have a good year and lose to, a couple of teams that had a little bit more experience. Matt Ryan, who's going to be a Hall of Famer one day, he didn't get a win in the playoffs till 2012 in his career. He came in 08. He lost in the playoffs 2 years straight before he got his first ever playoff win. Experience matters, and we saw it this week. Players, quarterbacks that started their first NFL playoff game this week, they went 1-5. 1-5, 1-4, 1-5. I want to believe. I want to say Mac Jones lost, Derek Carr lost, Kyler Murray, and there's another quarterback that lost out there, and Jalen Hurts. So quarterbacks went 1-4 in their first start in the playoffs, and the only first starter playoff winner was Joe Burrow, who played a first playoff starter in Derek Carr. And what I'm trying to get out is people do not understand their experience matters when it comes into the NFL playoffs. It doesn't matter how good you are. Kyler Murray, he looked like an MVP candidate the entire year for the most part. For the first 8 to 9 games, he was the front runner, no doubt. Even at the end of the season, he was still top 10 MVP candidate. First game in the playoffs, he goes out there and stinks up the joint. He looked like he didn't even know how to play football. And I love Kyler Murray, but he looked terrible. He looked atrocious. He couldn't see over his old line. He was making bad passes. He was taking bad sacks, throwing bad interceptions, and they got housed by the Rams. I went 5-1 in my predictions in the playoffs this week. It's kind of what I told everybody. I told you so. That experience in the playoffs, it matters. Mac Jones, he plays Josh Allen. Guess what? Josh Allen's first playoff appearance, who did he lose to? He lost to Deshaun Watson. He was up on Deshaun Watson 18-0. He lost that. Okay, so Mac Jones lost to the Bills. Jalen Hurts played the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, and got blown out for the most game, 31-0. If you look at the box score, it says 31-15. They were losing 31-0 the entire game. You go to Derek Carr. Derek Carr's been in the league for a long time. They made the playoffs one year in 2016, but Derek Carr tore his pectoral. So he gets his first start against Joe Burrow. He didn't play bad, but he still lost against Joe Burrow. And lastly, Kyler Murray, who I love, a player I like, because Kyler Murray is not too much taller than me. I'm about 5'8". Kyler Murray's like 5'10". And it's a player that kind of can relate to not just me, but society in general. Obviously, the average height in a male human being is 5'8", 5'9". He's about 5'9", 5'10". He went out there and played the LA Rams and looked absolutely pitiful. Now, transitioning on to what's going on this week. We have the Green Bay Packers playing San Francisco. We have Tampa playing the Rams. In the AFC, we have the Chiefs against the Buffalo Bills, and we got the Tennessee Titans against the Bengals. So I'll go from the least interesting playoff matchups to the most interesting playoff matchups. And I think the least interesting is the Titans and Bengals. We did a poll on Instagram, the Six Man with Kam. That's where you can find us on Instagram. Twitter is coming soon. You can find me on Facebook at Cameron Alexander Urshery. But what I would get at is I see a lot of people thinking that the Bengals will beat the Tennessee Titans. Last time I checked, this past week, I went 4-1 in my predictions, 4-1 or 5-1. And I would sit here and say this. I think the Cincinnati Bengals, you had a hell of a season. But if Derrick Henry comes back healthy and Julio Jones, count your days. You're going home. you're going home. I don't care if it's, I don't care if it's Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. If Derrick Henry, who they said cleared pads and is fully healthy to go for Saturday, if he is back and he's ready to go, you can just count your days. It's over with. Derrick Henry comes back, Julio Jones. The Bengals are soft on the offensive line. They still have to go in the draft and get right with that part of their team, the offensive line. And their defensive line isn't physical enough to mess with Tennessee Titans, where they have the best offensive line in the league. If not the best, it's definitely top 5. And if you get Derrick Henry, who's far and away the best running back in the NFL, Julio Jones, who I still believe when they're fully healthy, they have a top 10 offense and they're a top 10 team. Well, obviously they're a top 10 team, but they have a top 10 offense fully healthy when Derrick Henry's back, when Julio's back. Julio is a top 10 player when I think he's fully healthy. It's going to be really hard for Cincinnati to necessarily beat the Tennessee Titans, especially on the road. Joe Burrow, he won his first playoff game. Kudos. Not a lot of quarterbacks in NFL history can say, hey, I went into my first playoff appearance and I sat there and won. Not a lot of people can say that. And I see where somebody's commenting, I don't know, man, the Bengals offensive core is not looking bad. You're right. But I've been watching NFL since I've been alive. I've seen a lot of really good offenses. I want you to go back to Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and Aaron Donald when they first came on the scene in 2017. They lost to the Atlanta Falcons, who were not better than them. They had a better record than the Atlanta Falcons that year. They had home field advantage over the Falcons. They played the Falcons in the first round. The Falcons were able to beat them because Jared Goff had no experience. Aaron Donald didn't, nor did Todd Gurley. Guess what the Rams did the following year? They went to the Super Bowl. So experience matters in the NFL, and I continue to keep saying that. Don't let Mahomes be the person that brainwashes y'all into saying experience doesn't matter. Mahomes inherited a team that already went to the playoffs the year before he got drafted. I think people forget the Chiefs were 12-4 when Mahomes got drafted. They weren't a trash team. They traded up to get Mahomes. It's not like they were a bad team. This team that Joe Burrow was on last year, they were a bad team. I want to say they were 4-12 last year. This year, they're 10-7. They've had a great season, but if Derrick Henry's back healthy with that defense for Tennessee, I think Joe Burrow's going to have a long day. He's not back at home in Cincinnati. He's not where he's definitely comfortable at in Cincinnati. A road playoff game is really tough. Ask Lamar Jackson. Ask Matt Ryan. Ask Deshaun Watson. Hell, to a degree, ask Patrick Mahomes. Ask him. A road playoff game is not easy. And Joe Burrow is going to find out about that this coming Saturday. And I love Joe Burrow. I think he's actually playing like a top 5, top 7-ish quarterback. But I don't think he's going to be ready Saturday. Now I want to transition to the second game that I'm looking forward to, the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. I'm letting y'all know right now. Everybody, if you know me, I love Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad man, bro. That's all I'm going to say. And I think this game poses a tad bit of problems for Green Bay, but I think Green Bay will be able to get over it. If you've watched football in the NFL for a long time, we all know Green Bay is known for being notoriously soft. They're known for not necessarily, and I see where somebody commented 49ers upset. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if the 49ers upset Green Bay. Now, do I have Green Bay winning the game? I do, but I think, yes, I agree. I think it's a bad matchup for Green Bay. If you know football, 2 years ago when Green Bay and San Francisco matched up in the NFC Championship, they beat Green Bay. And they beat but San Francisco was at home, but they beat Green Bay. But they went 3 quarters without making one pass. That lets you know right there a team is more physical, they're stronger than you, and the game plan is a lot better when you're playing a team that just runs the ball and is more physical than you. So what poses the problem with me is I know Aaron Rodgers is going to do his thing. I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers. I think what people don't understand is Aaron Rodgers is always going to do what he's supposed to do. It's his defense that I'm worried about. Just 2 years ago, this defense was getting ran up and down on the field, and San Francisco went 3 quarters without passing the ball and beat them by double digits. I don't know how this game is going to go Saturday. I would pick Green Bay by a touchdown only because of the simple fact I feel like personally Green Bay in Lambeau, I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is ready for that type of pressure. Playing in Lambeau is different. For everybody in the chat, tell me your experience of watching teams play in Lambeau. It's different, bro. Going to play in 5-degree weather with wind chills, making it feel like -6 degrees, and Jimmy G's coming in with a right shoulder injury, it's really tough to go out there and win a ball game in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and that defense with Jair Alexander coming back. Bakhtiari's coming back on the offensive line with that crew. And I know Tunyon is out, but I really do think Green Bay is going to pull through. I think this year is a different year. Like I said, I have Green Bay winning the Super Bowl. If there's any year, and I love Aaron Rodgers, I'm not biased. Aaron Rodgers needs another Super Bowl. He needs one more. He needs one more. It's not the fact of chasing Tom Brady with rings. We know Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Aaron Rodgers is the best of all time. He's better than Tom Brady. Tom Brady is greater than Aaron Rodgers. But I will say this. Aaron Rodgers cannot retire with one ring. He can't. He's went to the NFC Championship 2 straight years before this year, and he's lost both. What I would say is this. Aaron Rodgers needs one more ring to catapult himself not into like the Brady conversation, but what I will say is he needs to catapult himself into just, when we talk about 10, 15 years down the line, we're not talking about, oh, Brady got 7 rings. We're going to talk about that. But we could also say, damn, y'all remember when Aaron Rodgers won his second ring in 2022, where it was a year where he has turf toe. He has a broken toe right now. It was a year before where he wanted to move on from Green Bay and he won a Super Bowl. I think if Aaron Rodgers loses, he's leaving Green Bay. I do agree with that. But also, I think if he wins, he's still leaving Green Bay. I think his mind is set. But this would boost the hell out of his legacy if he's able to win this, win the Super Bowl this year and say, Green Bay, what now? Y'all need me now. You clearly can't win with Jordan Love. Y'all need me now. But it does pose a problem for Green Bay. The 49ers are nothing to sleep on. I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo fan, but when you can run the ball like that, it's kind of insane. And yeah, I agree. I see some people asking where he's going to go, and I think he's going either way. Win or lose, I think he's going. Where he's going to go, I don't know. Pittsburgh is an intriguing option. Denver, that defense is intriguing. The New Orleans Saints is intriguing with Kamara, and you might get Michael Thomas back and those guys. And then possibly worst case scenario, San Francisco might be a place if they're in play to win a Super Bowl right now. Because San Francisco ain't win no damn Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I ain't sitting here saying that. But they do pose a problem against Green Bay. Deebo Samuel is a goon. When I mean a goon, he is a goon. And he's going to pose a problem for Green Bay. I'm scared. So that's that. But I'm going to go to my third game that I'm interested in. And this was a tight one. And the reason why I say this is a tight one, I'm stuck between Buffalo and the Chiefs, and I'm stuck between Tampa Bay and the Rams. Because reason why I say that is Buffalo and the Chiefs, this was the AFC Championship last year. This is a rematch. The Chiefs blew out Buffalo last year in Arrowhead and flat out embarrassed Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in the AFC Championship. But the Bills beat them in the regular season this year. This is a rematch for the Bills to say, hey, you got us in the AFC Championship last year. Now it's our time to come and take this thing over. But on the other side, you got Tom Brady and the Rams, where I don't know if you guys watched the game. This year, the Rams blew out the Buccaneers. When I mean blew out the Buccaneers this year. I know the score was 34-24. If you watch the game, the Rams was up on the Buccaneers 34-17 the entire game up until 1 minute left. And Tampa Bay gets a backdoor touchdown to make it 34-24. So they blew out the Buccaneers. But I'm going to make my decision. If I had to choose one, if both games were being played at the same time, if I had to choose one game, I would choose to watch the Chiefs and Bills. So right now we're going to talk about the Buccaneers and the Rams. I feel like as if I saw the Buccaneers play, and they were impressive. What they did to the Eagles is not a bad team. What they did to the Eagles, it was bad. They was up 31-0 the whole game. The defense looked stifling. I mean, Jalen Hurts couldn't do nothing. There was some receivers he missed, of course. But, I mean, all in all, it was a good game playing by Tampa. And you could tell Tom Brady, TB12, TB7, whatever you want to call him, he was locked the hell in. He was locked in when they played the Eagles. And what I'm saying is it's hard to be the locked-in Tom Brady. And I sit here and say he's not the best, but Tom Brady is still the GOAT, though. He's the greatest. He knows how to win. Regardless of Bill Belichick being there or not now, he knows how to win. He knows the winning formula. He turned Tampa Bay into the most losing franchise in NFL history. Now they're Super Bowl contenders every single year. So he knows how to win. But I will say this about the Rams. I see where people are saying Matthew Stafford is going to fold. How do we know that? How do we know that? When I heard the same thing in the first round where people said Matthew Stafford wasn't going to beat Arizona. They beat the hell out of Arizona. They blew them out. They embarrassed Arizona. Like, it was bad. It was like 28-0 at a point. It was bad. But what y'all missed was Matthew Stafford, he was efficient. Sean McVay let him settle in. He threw for 11 for 15, 208 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Sean McVay eased him into feeling good because guess what? He knew the next week, it's going to be a bloodbath. This is it. This is what the Rams put all the chips on the table for this. You go out and acquire Jalen Ramsey. You go out and acquire Odell Beckham. You go out and acquire Matthew Stafford. You go out and acquire Von Miller for this moment right here to beat Tampa and elevate yourself and go into the NFC Championship. You got all these guys. Who would have ever thought in 2022, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, Odell, Matthew Stafford, and Aaron Donald would be on the same team? Nobody thought that. You went and got all these dudes to win a Super Bowl. So now you got to go do it. It's not if Stafford make it to the NFC Championship, that's fine. No, it's Super Bowl or bust. This is the only team currently in the playoffs, them in Green Bay, where it's Super Bowl or bust. Green Bay is Super Bowl or bust. Rams is Super Bowl or bust. Everybody else, you're fine. If Tampa loses, Tom Brady already won him a Super Bowl. He's 44 years old. If Tampa loses, it doesn't matter. Tom Brady he's done enough winning. If the Chiefs lose, Patrick Mahomes got a Super Bowl 2 years ago. He's done enough winning in his first 4 or 5 years. Matthew Stafford ain't won nothing. Jalen Ramsey ain't won nothing. Aaron Donald ain't won nothing. Von Miller got a Super Bowl. He's the only one that's won something. Odell just got his first playoff win. These guys got a lot to prove, and that's why I'm going to go ahead and choose the Rams, man. I think it's a lot of injuries on Tampa Bay's side where they just don't have the offensive weapons to go blow for blow with the Rams. I could be wrong, but you're missing Chris Godwin. He tore his ACL on a contract year. I feel sorry for that, brother, but he tore his ACL. Hopefully he could come back and get a 1-year prove-it deal. On top of that, man, Antonio Brown did what he did. He did what he did. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Rams off the simple fact that Tampa's just missing a lot of guys on offense. Leonard Fournette's coming back. Maybe Leonard Fournette can help, that offense. Ronald Jones, from reports, he might be coming back. Tristan Wirfs, he might be injured. That's the starting right tackle. It's a lot of injuries on the offensive side for Tampa, so I don't know where to go from that. But I see where somebody says Stafford is only as good as his coaching. I can't say that because in Detroit, he was breaking records. Matthew Stafford is top 10 all time in NFL history in passing yards and passing touchdowns. He was just in Detroit. The 1 year he gets away from Detroit, the man's damn near, about to go to the NFC Championship. He's 1 game away from the NFC Championship. But I will say that Matthew Stafford looked good last game. Tom Brady, it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a bloodbath. I think this will be the best, and I think this will be the closest game of the week, but it ain't the game I'm looking forward to. Hey, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, who I believe are the 2 quarterbacks of the face of the league. You got Herbert. I think Herbert's on the way. He's still got to clean up a few things. You got Patrick Mahomes there. You got Josh Allen. I think those 3 quarterbacks, big arms, big mobile-sized kids, they're not injury-prone, none of them. I just think, man, this is going to be a matchup that everybody should be prepared for. I see people saying Rams should sign AB just to stand on the sideline to mess with Tampa. Nah, he's too much of a distraction. Stafford and McVay are locked in, but look, Mahomes and Josh Allen, those 2 guys are the future. I love Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's not on that level yet, man. It's time. Last year, Josh Allen beat Lamar Jackson 17-3 in the playoff game. Patrick Mahomes has beat up on Lamar Jackson head-to-head for years. I don't think Lamar is kind of like, it goes excellent, then it goes good, and then it goes average. I think the excellent quarterbacks are Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes. Man, maybe Russell Wilson. And then the good quarterbacks is Josh Allen and Herbert. And then Lamar's kind of at the bottom tier of those good quarterbacks. But what I will say, I mean, Lamar's had an O-line his whole career. So this is the first year he didn't have an O-line, and that's understandable. But he's had an O-line his whole career and still hasn't done nothing with it. And he's also had a defense. He's one of the few quarterbacks. But I will say this, because Justin Herbert doesn't have an O-line, and Justin Herbert's producing. He has one of the worst O-lines in NFL history. But I will say this, man. It's like what one of my friends in the chat, Clarence, CB, he sat here and said that the Bills play calling is really bad. It's really, really bad. And it is. The Bills are an inconsistent commodity that it upsets me every single time I watch them play. Because 1 week, like last week, the Bills will light up the Patriots, who have the number one scoring defense in the NFL and the top 5 defense, and give them 47. But just a couple of weeks ago, the Atlanta Falcons, my Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds, who are not too dirty right now. They really suck. But my Atlanta Falcons, they got 3 picks on Josh Allen. We almost beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, where Josh Allen threw, I think, 174 passes, had a 50 completion rate, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. That's what Josh Allen does. 1 week, he's lighting it up. The next 2 weeks, he's stinking up the joint. So I don't know what I'm necessarily going to get from Josh Allen Saturday, but what I do know from Mahomes is I do think Mahomes is going to come out there and do what he do. I can't say that. Unless Buffalo defense plays like it did when they played the Patriots, I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be the most exciting game. I don't know if it's going to be the closest. I think Tampa and the Rams will be the closest. I think this will be the most exciting game because you got 2 big arm, strong arm quarterbacks. Hell, on Madden, the 2 quarterbacks on Madden, the only 2 quarterbacks that have a 99 throw power is Mahomes and Josh Allen. That's it. It's going to be an exciting game. I want to see what Tyreek Hill can do against that secondary. Hopefully, Tre'Davious Wright is back for the Buffalo Bills, their star cornerback. I want to see what Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill can do against a top 5 defense of Buffalo. And I want to see what Kansas City defense can do against a top 5 offense in Buffalo as well. So it's going to be a really cool matchup. You get to see the AFC Championship rematch from last year. I see where you're saying Mahomes want his revenge. Yeah, Mahomes wants his revenge from this regular season, but I think Josh Allen wants his revenge from the AFC Championship last year. I really do believe Josh Allen wants that revenge, and I don't know what this is going to go, but let me make my picks now. Obviously, I picked Tennessee over the Bengals. I picked the Packers. I picked the Packers over the San Francisco 49ers by a touchdown. I think Tennessee will beat the Bengals by maybe a touchdown. I think the Rams will beat Tampa maybe by a field goal. I say 27-24. I see in that type of range. In this game right here, I will more than likely pick the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Buffalo Bills, let's say by a touchdown. I really do believe Kansas City will pull through on this one only because they're at home. And I think last year in the AFC Championship, the Bills lost their way against Kansas City because I think Josh Allen got overwhelmed with the fact that, damn, we're playing somebody on the road who's kind of better than us, has the same amount of firepower, and has better coaching, better offensive schemes, and their home field advantage is better. I don't know how Josh Allen's going to handle that. But in the AFC Championship, I have Tennessee and the Kansas City Chiefs. I have Green Bay and the Rams. Both of those games are rematches. Tennessee, they beat the snot out of the Kansas City Chiefs 27-3 in the regular season this year. And the Green Bay Packers, I want to say, beat the LA Rams this year by 10 or 13 points. So both of those games will be rematches. Obviously, I think the Packers are going to win because they're my Super Bowl favorite. And I think the Titans will actually upset the Chiefs. That's a game that happened 2 years ago, a rematch from 2 years ago in the AFC Championship when they kind of shut down Derrick Henry and did what they needed to do against Derrick Henry in that AFC Championship. But now Tannehill has Julio Jones, who I think is still top 10 when healthy. They got A.J. Brown, who I think is a top 10 receiver right now. might be cracking top 5 currently with the way he's playing. And I think Derrick Henry coming back, that's going to help out Tennessee. I think Tennessee playing the Cincinnati Bengals will help out ultimately. And then I have the Packers and the Titans in the Super Bowl. But man, I just wanted to come in here and talk a little NFL playoffs. I appreciate everybody stopping by. Each and every week, we're going to do a 30-minute show from now on. It's no longer an hour show. We're going to do a 30-minute show. I appreciate everybody coming in. When these games are done, we're going to talk about these exact games next week. And I want you guys to pick on me. If I'm wrong about my predictions, come in here and tell me, Cam, you was all the way wrong. What the hell were you talking about? Tell me that. I don't mind you guys coming in here and talking about me and critiquing me. That's what we're here for. We're here to discuss sports. We're here to talk and debate and stuff like that. I don't mind telling you telling me what I'm doing wrong and what can I fix to do better. But I do appreciate everybody coming in, everybody watching. Like I said, my predictions this week, I got the Cincinnati Bengals losing to the Titans. So I have the Titans advancing. I have the LA Rams advancing. I have the Kansas City Chiefs and Green Bay Packers. Write that down on your notepad because when I come back, I prepare to be 4-0. But this is the 6 Man with Cam. I'm your host, Cam Ursher. You can find us on Facebook at Cameron Alexander Urshery. Facebook page coming soon. You can find us on Instagram at the 6 Man with Cam. We have a page that day as well. I mean, on that page, we have a Instagram page as well. You can find me on Twitter at Cam Urshery. And if you need to text my phone, well, if you got my number, text me. But I'm always here to discuss sports. Hit my DMs at Cam Got Fans on Instagram. Hit my DMs at Cam Urshery on Twitter to talk sports. And I appreciate everybody coming out. And I will see y'all next week. Go Packers.